Lightning VOLTCONDOR is probably the cheapest deck you can get for Rush Duels. It only needs 2 structure decks. You can get a third if you want to, but 2 is probably fine. And it's pretty good. It's based around changing your opponent's monsters to light attributes so that your boss monsters can activate their effects to either boost your own attack or reduce their attack, which is like game winning in the Rush Duel metagame. Anyway, let's go over the cards. We have our 2 boss monsters, Darkness Crested Hawk and Lightning VOLTCONDOR. Crested Hawk has an effect: if your opponent has a light monster, you can send the top card of your deck to your graveyard and boost the attack of one Wing Beast monster by 1,000 until the end of the turn. Next is Lightning VOLTCONDOR. You can send a monster from your hand to the graveyard and then reduce the attack and defense of all of your opponent's monsters with the same attribute as the monster sent by the level of the monster sent times 300. Usually you will be sending light monsters because you will be changing your opponent's monsters to light with your skill. Lightning Shift is available at level 12 of Yuga, which is pretty nice. It's basically free. And this skill can only be used if the only monsters with 1400 or more attack in your deck are spellcasters or winged beast monsters, which is not that big of a deal. So we will be basing our deck around this restriction. The requirement is that when we normal summon level 7 or higher monster, we can change an opponent's monster into light attribute until the end of the turn. And also, if you have a face-up Lightning VOLTCONDOR, you can add a level 4 or lower light Wing Beast monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So it basically gives you a free card for you to pitch with VOLTCONDOR, or just an extra monster to attack with. Next is Seventh Road Magician. I'm just playing 1 copy because we are not playing 3 copies of the other boss monster, so we're just playing Seventh Road as a substitute. You're probably going to play more VOLTCONDORs and Crested Hawks if you have them. Seventh Road is just pretty good overall. It's a spellcaster, which we can play, and also it boosts its own attack, which is nice. Rise Terrace Secure is a pretty nice low-level monster. It changes your opponent's monsters to defense, which is nice to beat over with. We have level 6 Torna the Windweaver. This is a pretty good level 5 and 6 monster, which we can summon using only 1 tribute. It allows us to send a card from our hand to the graveyard to change the battle position of one of our opponent's monsters. So if our opponent is playing defense, or if they're just setting free and passing, we can force one of their monsters to become attack position, so we can actually deal some battle damage. And also, if our opponent has a big monster, you can just always change it to defense, so you can beat over it a lot easier. We have 2 copies of Luminous Parrot. This is our second way of changing our opponent's monsters to light. So if you already have a big monster on your field, you can't activate your skill because you need to activate it during the turn you normal summon level 7 monsters. So a way to change your opponent's monsters to light is to have a parrot on field to change it using its own effect. Our second Wing Beast low-level monster is Trick Pigeon. We can send a spell trap from our hand to the graveyard and then add back a Wing Beast with 1500 or more attack from the graveyard to your hand. So even if your boss monsters get destroyed, you have a way to get back them to your hand with your Trick Pigeon. And also it's light and it's a Wing Beast, so it works really well with the skill. Next is our vanillas. We were playing 1 Dark Magician because it is a high attack spellcaster. We can't play Summon Skull because it's not a spellcaster or Wing Beast. We were playing Dis. It's just a level 6 spellcaster, which has quite a high attack. We were playing Doriado, Magical Ghost, Draco the Tiny, and Strange Cat. Those are just vanillas that we play. And I like playing vanillas with higher defense because if we don't draw any of our boss monsters, we can just set free during our turn 1. And our opponent might not be able to beat over our set monsters. For spells and traps, we're playing 2 Hammer Crush and 2 Phantom Bind. Those are just pretty good spells and traps that we currently have. There are probably not any spells or traps that are just better than these 2, so we're playing them. Hammer Crush is basically MST that can only be activated during your own turn, and also needs a discard. And Phantom Bind reduces your opponent's attack when they attack your monsters. So yeah, that is the deck. Here is the expensive version of the deck. As you can see, we're actually not playing any legend cards because I believe having 3 Crested Hawks and 3 VOLTCONDOR is probably enough as our boss monsters. And we're playing 3 copies of Rise Terror Secure, just as a good low-level monster to change our opponent's monster's battle positions. We're playing 3 Kuribot. This card is pretty good as tribute fodder because if you use it as a tribute summon, or if you just set it and your opponent destroys it, during your next turn, if you don't have any monsters and have another Kuribot in your hand, you can basically get a free monster on your field as tribute. We were playing 3 copies of Torna, we were playing 3 Luminous Parrot, and we were playing 3 Thunder Defender. This is another good generic low-level monster. It allows us to discard a card to reduce our opponent's monster's attack by 300, which is not a lot, but it is 300, so it might come in handy. And we're playing 3 Hammer Crush and 3 Phantom Bind, and the skill is exactly the same. So if you've played a bit of Rush Duels, you know that the entire game plan of Rush Duels is basically summon a high-level monster with a lot of attack, and then attack your opponent's monsters. And if your opponent has a high attack monster, you can either reduce your attack, increase your own attack, or change the battle position of your opponent's monster. That's the basic game plan, and for now, I think every single deck is trying to do the exact same thing, just with different monsters. And our deck does have probably the highest attack that we could achieve with the monsters we have, because Darkness Crested Hawk can boost our monster's attack by an entire 1,000, which is crazy. It goes over 3k, which is higher than Blue Eyes, and that's really good. And also, if you boost Lightning VOLTCONDOR, not only does it get to 32, you also get to use its effect to reduce your opponent's attack, so you can basically beat over anything without a problem. Well, the weakness of this deck is that the attack boost only lasts until the end of the turn, and you can only use it during your own turn. So, if your opponent survives your attack and then summons another big monster themselves, they can very, very easily beat over your boss monsters. So you will basically need to summon them back during your next turn by just having another copy in your hand or getting it back with Trick Pigeon, but the deck is a lot more vulnerable if it's not your turn. And yeah, that's basically it. There's not much to talk about in Rush Duels. It's yeah. Okay, let's go over the replays. Okay, our first game is against Yuga. I mean, it's like the first day of Rush Duels, everyone's playing the same character. So, they are playing, I mean, something. At this point, there isn't really that much archetypes in the game, so just people are just usually playing a pile of the stuff that they have. So they're going to just summon a bunch of stuff, and we are able to summon a copy of VOLTCONDOR, and our opponent is going to activate a trap that's okay, that pretty much does nothing, and we're able to draw another 2 cards. We're going to summon VOLTCONDOR, Dark Magician, and a Magical Ghost just because we can. And our opponent is going to make a Mystic Healer, draw a card, summon another monster, and make a VOLTCONDOR of their own. They're actually playing pretty much the same deck as us. And we see a problem with this deck is that during their turn, they can very easily beat over our stuff. As you can see, they can boost their monster's attack to 31, and even though we can reduce their attack, we can't reduce them enough to not be destroyed. That's fine. During our turn, we can make a 7th road, and yeah, that's it. That's the game. GG. During our second game, we're actually not playing against Yuga. That's unexpected. Anyway, our opponent is going to go second, which is good for them, but not so much for us. We're going to set a bunch of cards. maybe should be something like VOLTCONDOR just to empty our hand, because Rush Duels you draw 5 cards every single turn if you have no cards in your hand. So we're trying to empty our hand, even though if that means it's going to be destroyed by our opponent. And we survive because we deliberately play monsters with high defense, and that paid off. So we get a free monster to our field. We're going to tribute summon 2 level 6 monsters and just attack and just hope that our opponent can't beat over our monsters. And it looks like they could, because Gravity Press Dragon could reduce attack and defense. And they will be able to beat over one of our monsters, but not the other level 6, which is fine. We're gonna draw 5 again, and we got Darkness Crested Hawk, so we pretty much win, I think. We're gonna use Lightning Shift. We totally didn't have to because we already have the parrot, but I guess it's free, so why not use the skill again? And we're going to pass it back to our opponent. They're actually going to use their skill to make their own boss monster, which is the Psychic Prima Guitarna. He's going to activate a spell to shuffle back the stuff and draw a card. And even if they have very low life points, they have enough to pay for the cost of their boss monster. So they will unfortunately beat over all of our monsters, because unfortunately our deck isn't very good at not being destroyed during our opponent's turn. But we do Dark Magician, so we just attack with Dark Magician, and we're fine. Honestly, I don't really know how to commentate on these Rush Duel games. We're just basically summoning a whole bunch of stuff that we have and attacking. There's not much strategy in mind, so I'm not really sure what to talk about most of the time, but yeah, we're able to set Darkness Crescent Hawk, and for some reason it has a really high defense, so we're going to catch our opponent off guard. And during our next turn, we're just gonna summon both of our boss monsters, activate a skill, make them light, so we can deal a whole bunch of damage. And then we're going to make a level 6, flip summon their stuff, and I don't know what they're doing, but okay. They realize that they can't beat over our boss monsters, and they give up. What a fun game.